Now, to offer local perspectives, we have the City of Wilson's Chief Planning and Development Officer, Rodger Lentz. Rodger, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. There it is. All right, so I want to talk to you about how we've applied some of this in Wilson, North Carolina, eastern North Carolina, very small North Carolina city in our eastern coastal plain, if you're not familiar with it. Today I'd like to talk about three things: RIDE, a new transit system that we've employed. I want to talk to you about how we've gotten greenways and paths going for that active transportation, and how we're really focusing on taking old roadways that really were not done in a contextual way and redo them. So let me talk about RIDE. So we have a long history of transit service in Wilson, fixed route system that covered just about 40% of the city and was really designed at a time when downtown was a center of commerce, right? You had the old tobacco warehouse jobs that people got to. You had agricultural, different jobs there that don't exist anymore. Those are in corporate parks where we have pharmaceutical companies and all that on the edge of town. So we had to rethink about how do we do transit. Our buses only ran once an hour. So I want you to take a second and imagine yourself in this situation. You're transit dependent, low income. You're at your job. Maybe you're working as a waitress or waiter or some other service job that's low pay. You have a child in the daycare. You get the call that they're sick. Okay, how do I get that child? Right? If you're transit dependent, you look at your watch, it's going to be 45 minutes for the next bus, so you got to wait. Get on that bus, and in Wilson, where I can get anywhere in my car in 15 minutes, I'm going to have to make a transfer at the downtown station, get another line. 40 minutes later, I've arrived at the daycare, so now I'm over an hour and a half in, right? Get the child, I know that you got to get them to the doctor. Maybe I can walk to the doctor, but there's not a sidewalk. So I've got to get down there, do that journey. Then I got to wait for the next bus when that appointment's done to get home. Maybe I have to stop at the pharmacy. All said and done, that's probably a 3 or 4 hour issue of your day. You don't have sick leave or leave time. You have not gotten paid. Can we do better for that individual? And I think that's where RIDE comes in. So RIDE is the mobility as a service that was just discussed, where you can use an app, and understanding that not everybody can afford this, a phone number you can call, unlike Uber or Lyft, where if you don't have a smartphone, you're locked out of that service. And we were able to cover not 40% of the city, but 100% of the city with transit service. And we're able to do that with a 15-minute average wait time. So you need that trip, you go on the phone, or you call the call center, you get that trip in 15 minutes, you're taken to the door of the daycare, do what you need there, you get home, and that journey that issue that took 4 hours of your day is now an hour and a half, which is a lot of time for that person that has to deal with that situation that's transit dependent. And I think that's really critically important. And the fact that we were able then to take the same resources that we had for fixed route and cover an entire city, now I'm connecting people to jobs that were out of reach for them because they couldn't afford a car, maybe they couldn't drive. So we've been doing this for nearly a year and a half. We're over 150,000 trips. Last week we did 3,500 trips. The fixed route before that was 1,450 trips. And during the pandemic, when we had to take the fixed routes down, we were only doing 300 trips. So even during a pandemic, our transit ridership went up 140% over fixed route. So it's been a real game changer in Wilson, and we're very proud of it. We've gotten recognition from FTA. We've been able to get grants to extend our hours. And we were able to use it to provide vaccine trips to folks when we did that for free with the help of our partners at NCDOT. But what's most proud about it is the change that has been made in people's lives. And this during COVID, right? So that individual, I'm telling you, and our average rider makes less than $25,000 a year. We've changed their economics. In that situation, that person, that parent, might have had to get a taxi cab, make multiple trips, and spend $40 or half their income that day. On ride, they could do that for less than 10 on those multiple legs. That's a big deal. The other thing that we've been able to do is connect people to work. So these pharmaceutical jobs that were out of reach for people, the number one thing they said that was a problem was transportation. People did not have a reliable way to get to work. We've changed that. 48% of our folks said this service has enabled them to get a job or keep a job where transportation was a barrier. And I think that's really important. I won't read all the statistics, but I think it's worth noting that talking to your customers to find out how the service is going, how the service can be improved is critically important. And in our COVID world, I don't think we'll ever go back to fixed route, right? This has proven to be exceptionally great service, exceptionally well received. And I'm not sure of a transit company, a transit system in the country that's had 140% growth over what was pre-pandemic. So we're very, very proud of what we've done in Wilson. Yeah. Well, I think the bones of our city are set up for that 15-minute model, but obviously a lot of disinvestment in some of the central areas, not unlike a lot of smaller towns and cities in North Carolina that are kind of outside the metro, especially in eastern North Carolina. I think that I too think, fixed route and, what Charlotte's done. We used to work in the Charlotte area, what Charlotte's done with light rail, and that's exactly what they need to be doing. But there's still even transit deserts in that model where I think microtransit can fill in. And, now, let's be honest, we're doing this like transit, so the city's putting in a lot of money, DOT's putting in a lot of money. A $1.50 fare is not recovering the cost, but, when you start thinking about a city that's, 25% poverty rate, transportation as a barrier, cities aren't in the social service business in North Carolina. That's a county function. I think this is a perfect way for the city to do its role in connecting people to economic opportunity. And, while I think the county van systems are a lifeline, and they're very important, but, if you just had to go get a gallon of milk, right? I need a gallon of milk. We're all going to go out and get milk and bread after this because the snow's coming, right? Imagine, I didn't call a day ahead to make that reservation on the county van system. So you got to plan so far ahead that you just can't make that work. And so I think that's what microtransit's done in Wilson, is let people be spontaneous and get the things that they need. And one of the quotes, I didn't read verbatim, but if you caught it on the slide, was, we have some blind population that basically said, to change my life, to be able to essentially compete with someone that had access to a private car. And I think that's really important.